Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. So, elephant in the room. Yes, I have a beard. Yes, it is staying. I hope you guys like it. Yes, the lighting in this room is not the best right now. I'm sorting some stuff out, so you're kind of going to have to deal with a standard light. I'm really sorry. I also have my Christmas tree up, so I can't really put my lights up. That's another reason. Um, yeah. Anyway, a few years ago, Canon updated their lenses from EF to RF mount, and for the most part, I never really saw the point of them. Now, I picked myself up a Canon EOS RP, and it was £1,000. Well, I say 1,000. It was £900 second hand. And my belief system for that camera was, oh yeah, this is going to be my, my photo camera, my video camera. I'm just gonna use an adapter and mount my EF mount lenses on it. But recently I thought, you know what? I use the 24 to 105 on my Cinecam now. This lens here I use on the Cinecam now, and I don't really want to keep using my 70 to 200 on my Canon RP. So I picked myself up a 24 to 105 non-L. Get to that in a minute. 24 to 105 f4 to f7.1. Get to that in a minute. So what do I think of this lens? In general, I think it's nice. It feels nice in the hand. It feels well made, like you would expect from Canon. I can't remember how much I paid for this lens, to be fair. You can pick them up probably quite cheap. I'll try and put the price either on screen now, or I'll put it in the link in the description down below. Sorry, this beard is really quite itchy for me at the moment, but I'll try and pioneer through it. So yeah, it feels nice. It's not heavy. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not as heavy as, well, the L1, really. This is the EFL, and it's quite a heavy, it's an old lens. I think 98, I think this one was made, roughly. Whereas this is obviously a lot newer. Now, something I don't really like about it is the fact that there's no weather sealing on this lens. There is no weather sealing. Now, most of the time, people aren't really going to be bothered about weather sealing. And yeah, you could have gone, well, Alex, why didn't you just buy the L version that will have weather sealing? I probably should have done, but not the point. This one in particular doesn't have weather sealing, and this, it extends. Now, yeah, the L version that I have here also extends out, but it sounds... Ooh. Can you guys hear that? It sounds horrible. It really does. It sounds cheap. And this plastic here is cheap crap. This exterior looks really nice, really smart, a nice modern lens. As soon as you start zooming, is where the problems is where all the problems start with this lens. Because as soon as you start zooming, you start changing your aperture from an f4 to an f7. Meaning you're going to have to crank that ISO all the way up, especially if you go into 105mm, which is, well, to be fair, not a very good thing. I mean, yes, on a cheap lens like this, I suppose an f7 is not too bad. Could have been worse, could have been like an f9 or an f10. But at 24mm, you do have quite... I'm not going to say quite a bit, but a decent-ish amount of depth of field, especially if you're doing portraits. Now, this is not a portrait lens. Don't go out and start going to use this as a portrait. It's not. It's a semi-wide angle lens to telephoto. And it's a nice lens. The pictures look nice. There's no chromatic aberration. There's no warping of the colours. There's no distortion or anything like that. Also, these switches here, we have one for the stabilization. We also have one for control or focus. And that's for this, what this ring does. I hate this ring. I'm just going to say it. I don't like it. At first, I was like, actually, this could be a good idea because you can remap it. And yeah, that is a great idea. I changed this to ISO so that I could just put this on my camera. Where is it? There we go. I could have my aperture, my shutter speed, and my ISO. And I was away. And yeah, it can be quite useful. But I don't know if that is something that I've done or something that Canon has mucked up on. But this switch doesn't seem to do anything at all. Even when it's under focus, I can still change my ISO. And it just, yeah, it's just not very good. I'm not a big fan of the control ring. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, but I'm not a fan of it. I'm really not. Here we have some pictures actually from the 24 to 105. There are my settings, the size of the file, and yeah, ISO 200, 95 millimeters, and f7, which means it's fully zoomed in because it's a f4 to an f7.1. Now, images look okay. Bearing in mind this is f7, so it's going to be quite sharp. A lot of detail here. We can even see lots of different strands on the hair here, but it does also fall apart a little bit. It's quite blurry and just not very detailed. So it's very sharp, but the images are just not very detailed. The color representation looks really nice. Again, it's very sharp. There's lots of, I suppose you could say it's very detailed, but it's also very, I don't know, it's quite hard to say. But to be fair, this jumper here that she's wearing is quite, you know, it's a lot to process, and you can definitely see here where maybe the camera or the lens hasn't actually been able to capture it properly. But we can move on to another image. Let's have a quick look at something else. Let's go with this one. So again, let's have a look at this one. Again, we can zoom in and it's quite detailed, but I do actually think that's down to the RP's 24 megapixels. What settings are we using here? So we've got an f7. This is not really a portrait lens. I mean, we've got some, you know, we've got separation between the background and the foreground, but it's not a lot. There's not much bokeh going on in this image, or really any of them, to be honest. These, just so you know, these are all unedited. This is literally every single one of them. So there's some bad images, and this was just a shoot to, you know, test the lens. Let's have a look at this. So she's quite far away from me here. So I think I'm shooting at f4. Oh no, f7 somehow. So she must have been very, very far away from me. Because I wouldn't shoot at an f7 myself. It's not something that I would do. It's quite dark. Maybe f5, but that's really as low as I would go on a normal kind of picture. Unless I'm doing a long exposure, then I just whack it all the way down to about f22. Anyway, we're getting beyond the point. So we are now starting to get pixelation. This is down to the camera sensor. This isn't the lens. This pixelation. So we have lost a lot of detail because of the low megapixel of the RP. So we couldn't really zoom in on this one, but the image looks fairly decent. It looks okay. It doesn't look amazing. It doesn't look terrible. I mean, I could sit here and edit, but I'm not going to. Because that's not why we're here. So, if we go on to some different ones, let's try Maybe this one. I do quite like this one. Again, what settings have we got actually? Again, we've got 6.3, 70mm, and ISO 500. Again, we've got a lot of sharpness and kind of detail in the image, but also not a lot. There's no vignetting. From the looks of things in most of these images, there's no chromatic aberration at all. The images look fairly decent. They're not, yeah, they're not bad images. It's producing nice images. And then there's updates. Updates for a lens, Canon. Why am I updating a fecking lens? I brought this and the software was out of date. Why do I need to update a lens? Now, the process was semi-easy. It wasn't hard. It wasn't easy. It was fairly medium. It took 1 or 2 times to actually get the software to actually be recognized by the camera. But when it did get recognized, it was relatively easy. But I shouldn't need to update a lens's software. The camera body, I understand. I get the camera needs an update. But I don't need bugs in my lens. Not an actual bug. Why wouldn't... What? No, Canon. Check yourself. In general, actually, believe it or not, for my negativity, I do like this lens. It's a nice lens. It's compact. It feels nice in the hand. It's lightweight. The images look really, really nice. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me in this video. I'll see you in the next one.